Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be doing a try-on video with a lot of the new products that I was able to get in my birthday haul from last week. So one of the things that I was specifically requested to do was a kind of demonstration on how to use a beauty blender and how this just works really. So for those of you that aren't aware, a beauty blender is just a beauty sponge. So you know, I'm sure we're all familiar with cosmetic sponges, but it is kind of a shape of an egg and it kind of comes to a point here on one side and is a little bit more round on the other side. But this is actually a dry beauty blender, so they're meant to be used wet. You could use them dry. It's just at that point it's no different from, you know, any other like small, those little like triangular cosmetic sponges. Personally, I was never a fan of those, still am really not. But you're supposed to use it wet, and when you do use it wet, it does kind of balloon in size a little bit. So I'm actually going to go ahead and get this wet, but I just kind of wanted to show you what it looked like when it was completely dry. It's very small. I'd say like this pigment size is like very tiny, like maybe it's smaller than my ear, but they're pretty comparable in size. So I'm going to go ahead and get this wet and show you how big that it actually gets. Okay, so I just got it wet, and you can see that it's definitely ballooned compared to the size of the pigment now. It's probably, it's a lot bigger, it's a lot fatter, it's taller, so this is actually how it is supposed to be used, and this just kind of makes your foundation glide on a lot easier. It's a lot more seamless, and really, I love beauty sponges. There's something that I've talked about quite a few times on my channel, so I'm going to demonstrate actually using this bad boy today. So to start this tutorial, I'm actually going to use the Catrice Prime and Fine Smoothing Refiner, and this is a face primer. So I'm just going to, this is so interesting, like it's white and like almost a cream. Tati, when she uses this, she really just focuses it around her nose area, just because that's the area that we tend to have more pores. I'm gonna go ahead and use it all over just because I like using a foundation primer all over my face where all of my foundation goes. Tati uses 2 primers, but I mentioned Tati because I actually purchased this because she says such great things about it, so that's why I'm talking about Tati. But I'm just gonna use it all over. It does feel very nice, very silicone-y, as far as like pores. I don't know if I can say that it had like a huge effect on them, but I think I'll be able to tell that a little bit more once the foundation and the full look's on. From there, today I'm going to actually use the NYX Professional Makeup Can't Stop Won't Stop Full Coverage Foundation. It looks like this. The shade I have here is light. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pump, once I can get it flowing, like a full pump onto the back of my hand, and then I'm going to pick it up. Okay, like really? Pick it up with the beauty blender. I feel like that's the best way to do it. Is this seriously not gonna work? Good lord. This is insane. This pump is like not working. Oh my goodness, did I get a defective foundation? I think I did. Okay, well, that's a real big bummer, so I'm gonna have to play around with that. Instead, I will go in with the Catrice HD Liquid Coverage Foundation. It says it's mattifying, lasts up to 24 hours, and it's got a second skin effect. This has a little dropper top, so I'm going to put just a little bit of this on the back of my hand, like so, and go into my beauty blender, and just kind of dip with my beauty blender, and I'm going to just put this all over my face. Now, this foundation, when I first got it, it's a little bit light, or it's a little bit dark for me, but I'm just going to blend, and we're going to make it work. The best way to use a beauty blender is to pat it on the skin. It's not to rub it, because then it's not going to have its full effect. If you're just rubbing it, you might as well use a brush, because that's what a brush is going to do, and that pulls at the skin, so you're not going to get the best coverage level when you are pulling and kind of just like pulling the product off of your skin. You just kind of want to push it into the skin and really just make sure it just sits there. So that's the best way to use this. I personally really like using the more rounded side when I'm putting on my foundation and my base, but then once I get to concealer, I will use the more pointed tip, and I'll get really up in there with especially my under eye makeup. This looks really nice. I've not used this foundation yet. I've been testing out the Revlon Colorstay Full Coverage Foundation because I want to do a full review. I really want to do a full review on all of these, but that's going to be a really long video, so I've just kind of been working one at a time and really trying to get a good opinion on them before I come to a video, but this is more of like a first impressions. All of these products I've not used before. I waited until now. Oh gosh, I really like the way that this is going on. It looks very smooth. This looks really nice. And honestly, this color is not bad for me. I thought it was going to be a lot darker, so thank God. I also always like to go underneath my neck a little bit, because the people that have the foundations that don't exactly match their skin tone and they just stop where their chin is, you can tell. You can see how there's orange on their face and pale on their neck. So I always like to take it down to the neck. So that's just me though. If your foundation just matches perfectly, then you do you. But that's just my personal preference. Okay, so as you can tell, I think this actually went on really, really smooth. I think the coverage is really nice. I'd say this is definitely probably a medium to full coverage foundation. I have an eyelash there. Goodness, sorry. But yeah, I really like this. This is looking very smooth on my skin. It's definitely a full coverage. I don't necessarily know if I'd say it's like matte, but it definitely doesn't feel like sticky or anything, and it didn't feel too thick. It was actually a pretty liquidy foundation, and I find that with some more mattifying foundations, they can be really thick, and full coverage foundations, they can be really thick too. So we'll see how this wears throughout the day. For concealer, I'm going to go in with the Makeup Revolution Conceal and Define. I'm just going to put this on my under eyes. And I don't use very much. I use it sparingly, and instead of using this foundation, or I'm sorry, this concealer likes to pick up a lot on the very front of the doe foot applicator, so I actually apply using the back of it, and I feel like that gives me less product to work with, which I want. And I always feel like I can build up more product, but if I put on way too much, it's a lot harder to take it off. So I'm going to go back in with the Beauty Blender and just kind of use, like I said, the more pointed end, and dab this concealer in and blend it on out. You really don't want to pull too much or push too hard on your under eyes. It's a very sensitive skin area, so you really are just patting it in. Essentially same concept as with the foundation. I would use even lighter of a hand with it, just because, like I said, your eyes are a really sensitive area. Man, I really like this concealer. And this foundation and this concealer, ooh, yes. Okay, moving on. But that is how you use a beauty blender. You can use it with cream products too, like if you had a cream blush or a cream highlight, you can use this and kind of just blend it on out. I've used that for a highlight, and I've used it for a blush too, actually. So I really like beauty blenders. I think they are fantastic. They're not a terrible price. I mean, yes, I said this is $20, and it is $20, but if you think about it, you can keep sponges for quite some time. As long as you keep up with them, you're washing them. I think they say to get rid of them after 6 months or so. But yeah, I love beauty sponges. So that is that. We're going to move on to eyebrows. I did get the e.l.f. eyebrow pencil, and I got the shade dark brown, natural brown. So I'm going to see how this works on my eyebrows. And it does come to like a point, so we'll see. Sometimes it's easier to work with them when they're like more nubs, just because like a point can be a little harsh sometimes, but so far so good. Okay, yes, I am loving this. I think this went on super easily. I love the spoolie. It's a lot thicker than a lot of the spoolies that I've been working with some brow products, and I really like that. I think this is a great color for me. I mean, I think that my brows look really nice, so I love this. And this was literally $2, so cannot go wrong with this. I'm going to go ahead and prime my eyes. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to set my under eye. I'm going to use my Rimmel Stay Matte and my setting brush from Real Techniques and just put some powder underneath my eyes and on my T-zone. Moving on to eyes, I'm going to prime my eyelids with the Catrice Prime and Fine eyeshadow base, and this says it's long lasting, so I'm going to go ahead and put this on my eyelid and blend it out with my finger. Now, this can be substituted if you put concealer or foundation on your eyelids. You don't need a primer. A primer is really just like an added step, so keep that in mind. Because your foundation, your concealer is just as easy for eyeshadow to stick to as an eyeshadow base. But I'm just using it because I am curious how this performs. Then I'm going to go in with my e.l.f. Mythical Creatures quad that I got. Oh goodness, I did not open this before the video started, so here we go. Okay, so I'm going to go in with my Wet n Wild Mythical Creatures eyeshadow quad, and the colors look like this. They're very pretty. I really like the purple and blue, but I'm actually going to start off by using the transition shade, and that is a matte brown, and I'm going to use that with a fluffy crease brush and just go into the crease with this. And this is, like it says, a transition shade, so even if I end up using the darker tones and you can't really see this, this will help the colors go on a little bit less patchy and just a little bit more smooth. I'm not sure if it's literally like exactly the same color, but this looks super similar to the color that's the transition shade in the Walking on Eggshells palette. I do really like that shade. I really like this one as well, but I tend not to use that transition shade too often just because that palette provides such an easy and seamless look that I don't feel like I need it. But for this, because I'm not exactly sure how this is going to turn out, I'm just going to go ahead and pop this on. Alright, on the lid, I'm going to go ahead and take a flat eyeshadow brush. Let's see here. Here we go. This is my e.l.f. eyeshadow C brush, and I'm going to go ahead and take this purple shade and just pack it on to the lid. Okay, well, I'm underwhelmed so far. Wow, this is not as pigmented as I thought it was going to be. Like, it's pretty, but I'm feeling like I'm having to keep going back into the color in order to get any sort of color payoff. That is really odd. I normally don't have this issue with Wet n Wild. I mean, after I've gone in a lot, I can see that it's much more pigmented, but still, like, not even still what I was anticipating this to be. I don't know, maybe I just had to get through the first, like, layer that had dried. I'm not really sure. I like to give Wet n Wild a benefit of the doubt, but I gotta say, first impressions, not really wowing me. And I gotta say, there's like a decent amount of fallout. Wow, I'm really shocked, guys. Like, this is insane. Like, I can see, I don't know if you guys can see, but there's definitely fallout on my cheeks, so I'm gonna sweep that away real quick, but that's weird. That's like really strange, to be honest with you, so. Okay, let's try this crease shade. It's this navy blue here, and I'm going to take a fluffy brush. This is a Morphe brush, and I'm just going to focus this on the outer third of my crease. Wow, I don't know. I'm not sure about this palette. I'm not sure I'm loving it. Okay, I'm going to focus it there, and then I'll go back and blend that out. Okay, I'm going to go back in with my brush that I used the transition shade for and just kind of blend those two shades together and just kind of create more of a seamless transition from one shade to the next. I'm going to go in with an even fluffier clean brush and kind of just blend those out even further. Yeah, I don't know if I'm liking this so far. Okay. Underneath my eyes, I'm going to go in with a pencil brush. This is a Real Techniques pencil brush, and go in with this crease shade, this navy blue. I don't know. I just feel like this is not looking how it looks in the pan, and I think that's what's like throwing me off. It's a lot darker and less like shimmery than I was anticipating, so that's kind of where I am with these. The purple one I'm very underwhelmed by, incredibly underwhelmed. But, you know, I'll have to play around with them maybe a little bit more. I really love Wet n Wild palettes, guys, you know that, but this one is, I mean, it's throwing me off a little bit. I'm just going to take a fluffy brush and go in with this brow bone shade, and I'm going to highlight my brow bone. Okay, I'm going to take, I'm actually going to go in with this Wet n Wild loose pigment, and this is the shade Gold Pigment, okay, and I'm going to see how this is. Oh goodness, okay, so it's got a little, like, sifter cover, which that's really nice, and I'm going to put some in the cap. Okay, let's see how long this will last. So I'm going to take some of this gold pigment and press this with that same flat eyeshadow brush that I used the purple for, and just put this on the inner half of the lid. Now that is really pretty. So I'm liking this pigment, not so much liking the palette. Okay, then I'm going to go in with my my Wet n Wild felt tip liner and my Makeup Forever Aqua XL black liner for my waterline, and this for my upper lash line, and I'll be right back. Okay, for mascara, I ended up using my Maybelline Falsies mascara. For bronzer, I'm going to go in with a fluffy powder brush and my Too Faced Chocolate Soleil and just warm up the skin. Okay, for blush, I'm going to use my new Flower Beauty blush, and this is actually in the shape of, it's imprinted with a flower, and I think that's super pretty. This is the shade Wild Rose, and I'm just going to go in with my, actually not with that one, but let's see here. Let's use my e.l.f. stipple brush. Yes, stipple brush. That's a pretty color. Ooh, I really like it. Oh, that's so fresh, so pink. Oh goodness, that's really pretty. Okay, and then for highlight, I'm just going to use my Mary Luminizer from The Balm. I'm so close to being done with this bad boy, and I'm just going to use, this is my tapered highlight brush from Ipsy. Okay. I'm going to set the skin with my Flower Seal the Deal Hydrating Spray. This is new to me as well, so I'm just going to set everything. Oh, I love this. This is such a fine mist. It's like, it's not like hitting your face with spray, and I have some issues with that with some other sprays, so I love this. So definitely recommend this setting spray and the Flower Beauty brush. The Catrice Prime and Fine, the eyelid primer so far, And the Kills Pores Prime and Fine, like this guy is amazing. It felt so nice. And then this Liquid HD makeup, loved it. I think it looks great on my skin, so 10 out of 10 would recommend. Obviously, I love my beauty blender. That's a given. Really? Not sold on this palette. This is the Mythical Creatures palette from Wet n Wild. I don't know. I'm not loving it. Like, the eye look came out okay, but I just felt like I really had to work for it. I really think that the pigment added a lot to it. This is the gold pigment from Wet n Wild, so I like that. And I really love the eyebrow pencil, but not loving that palette. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe before you leave. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to leave those in the comments below, and I will see you guys next time.